Welcome to Freedom's Table, a place for women to gather around, meet together with the gospel at the center. I want to start with the scripture. Acts chapter 2, verses 42 through 47. They devoted themselves to the apostles' teaching and to fellowship, to the breaking of bread and to prayer. Everyone was filled with awe at the many wonders and signs performed by the apostles. All the believers were together and had everything in common. They sold property and possessions to give to anyone who had need. Every day they continued to meet together in the temple courts. They broke bread in their homes and ate together with glad and sincere hearts, praising God and enjoying the favor of all the people. And the Lord added to their number daily those who were being saved. And ladies, these verses speak to what it looks like when believers focus on the most important thing we have in common. And so that's what we have to go back to when we find ourselves intentionally or unintentionally being divided by our differences. And so I'm going to jump right in. I'll let everybody introduce themselves as we go around and answer the first question. So the first question is, how would you define the season you are in, and what are some of the relational challenges being in that season? And so, my name is Manda Lawler. I'm 37 years old. I am married. I work full-time. I serve as a women's ministry leader, and I'm also involved in several other ministries and also pursuing my own personal goals and pursuits. And so this season of life I would define as sifting through what exactly I'm called to be doing in this season, and not just doing what I find myself doing, because there's a lot of service to be done. And so the relational challenge in that for me is just being able to serve people out of my primary identity as a disciple of Christ, because I find myself being busy with people all the time. So that's the challenge for me.
Hello, ladies. My name is Eunice Richardson. I am 58 years old, and my husband and I are now empty nesters. So the season that we're in is actually reorganizing. We've been active in ministry all of our marriage, but we were active with our children. So now being active in ministry without the children, there's blessings about that, and also some challenges. Realizing that we're now entering season years, and realizing that our roles actually change. Although we were active in teaching our children, now we're more so active as far as being there for them if they need a voice to hear. So that's what I wanted to share.
Hi, ladies. Hi. So I'm Lakia Barnes. I'm 38 years old. I am a single, never married mom of a teenager. So as you can imagine, I spend a lot of time on my knees. I facilitate a ladies' Bible study in my home. We meet bi-weekly. I'm involved in some ministries here at Freedom, but mainly my focus is ministering with my daughter and just being the mom that I need to be. The relational challenges, most people around my age are married with kids, little kids, and so sometimes having one-on-one girl time is not as common as I would like for it to be, just because, they've got other priorities, as do I. So that's pretty much my story, but it's been such a blessing getting to know the Freedom Ladies through D groups, through LOL, just different ways, and also the ministry that I facilitate in my own home. So it's been a blessing. God has been close, and he's brought some wonderful ladies into my life.
Hi, ladies. My name is Julie Walker. I am 25, almost 26. By the time we share this, I'll be 26. I am married, and we do not have children yet. I work full-time, as does my husband. So I'd say, if I'm defining the season I'm in right now, my job is pretty demanding of my time, and I love my job, but it definitely, more often than I'd like, I think ends up taking priority in my schedule. And so I'd say that the relational challenges I face really are around how do I rightly prioritize my work versus my church involvement and my husband and my ministry outside of work. I feel like I am called to be in the position I'm at in my job, and I think that that is one of the places where I am being called to be a witness, but at the same time knowing how to still make time for the things that are important. I do help lead our teen girls ministry here at Freedom, and I think it's a challenge for me to know how do I make time for that and make that a priority when I'm gone a lot and traveling a lot during the week with my job. And then beyond that, just relationally spending time one-on-one with other, female friends and with my ladies, and then also with my husband and with our couple friends, all those different things, knowing how to prioritize, I think, is really where my struggle is right now. And so praying through that, and I don't think I have answers yet, but I'm figuring it out one day at a time.
Right.
So I'd say that's kind of where my season, where I'm at.
Hi, I'm Carolyn Harris. I am 68 years old. I am a retired nurse with 5 children of my own, and my husband has 2 children, giving us 14 grandchildren. So life is very complicated at times. As it was mentioned, you were at a season that you're finished raising your children. Now you're helping your children raise their children, and counseling your adult children who have become, I feel like, my best friends. It is a wonderful season to look back. If I had to name it, I would say I'm in a mid to late autumn of my life, and there's a lot of bright colored leaves on the tree, and part of that, I would say, is looking back how I can see how God was with me all along, and He has given more grace and mercy where I so needed it through the years. And my husband and I have just returned from India, serving after I had retired from work. And now, like many of you, I'm wondering what's next. Because we're never finished serving the Lord, and there's no retirement with Jesus.
Hi, ladies. So my name is Nicole Abraham, and I would say for me, I'm in a season of learning. So I feel like I'm a student in every area of my life. So I just recently got a new job. So I'm in training. I'm also a college student, full-time college student, but full-time job. So, and I'm also a student of life. I'm a disciple, like we all are. So I am constantly trying to find a balance of sleep and learning and just finding time to study. And I think one of the most challenges I have right now in this season is trying to find time to even just be here at this table with you ladies, because it's so much that I could be doing. But I really had to make a sacrifice to come out and to be a part of this, because it's necessary to have a balance and everything.
Thank you, ladies. So I'm going to pose this first question to you, Lakia. How can people love you better in the season you are in?
Prayer. Encouragement. I am very critical of myself. I beat myself up, and so my mothering, I'm always just, I should have did this better, I could have done that better. And so many people come up to me and give me compliments on my daughter, and I don't even know how to take it. I'm like, but you don't know what I said to her yesterday, or whatever the case may be. So definitely pray, encourage, just the encouragement that I get. I mean, no one needs to do it more because I get so much. So I so appreciate that. I appreciate when you ladies and so many ladies at Freedom come up to my daughter and just kind of speak to her. And she's very moody and standoffish right now. But I appreciate when you guys come up to her and make the effort. You especially, definitely you. I'm always asking about it. I go home and I'm like, Miss Eunice said. And she loves it. So thank you guys for just embracing us and loving on us. I also was so encouraged when I did my interview, like my membership interview for Freedom. Pastor Jeremy said, whatever covering, we're going to be the covering for you. Whatever you need, we'll do that for you. You know, and I was just like, thank God. I've had guys, just really helping us out and just looking out for us, protecting us, praying over us. I so appreciate that here at Freedom. One other thing, this is kind of funny. So in our if table that we had, we discussed, I said something of like, oh, I feel kind of lonely. And I just wish that people would reach out to me and actually, like, text me and say, hey, how you doing, or what have you. And somebody made the comment, well, you're always so busy, like you're on the go. I'm thinking you're always getting, and I'm like, no, I'm getting texts that say, 20% off at Subway today, or I feel like to just reach out and say, hey, how you doing? Hey, I was thinking about you, praying for you. You okay? That really would bless my heart, and then I don't want to be a burden to the ladies, especially the ladies who are married, because I'm like, they're with their man, so do your thing, and I don't want to take away from that, and I know it can be time consuming. So I just what would really bless me is just continual prayer and just reaching out saying, hey, and I think we all could use that, not necessarily just in my situation.
All right. I'm going to pose this next question to Nicole. Nicole, how can we as women do a better job of seeing each other more clearly, breaking down the barriers that separate us?
So I think there are many ways that I can approach this question, but I think that one of the key ways to break down the barriers and to help see each other as individuals, first you have to see one another aside from the season that you're in, because I think sometimes the individual seasons that we're in is what causes division. Like, what we all have in common is that we are all made in the image of Christ. Like, we are not created in the image of singleness. We're not created in the image of being married. Like, we're all image bearers of Christ, and that's one thing the most important thing that unites us, that we have as women, and I think that if we can separate who we are apart from what we have, that would definitely break down the barriers that can come up against friendships or even the bonding and union of women.
Wow, thank you. So, Carolyn, how can we as women do a better job loving one another so that the world would know us as disciples?
So I've been thinking about this question, and it's hard to point to one thing, but there were a few glaring things that came out to me. And it's already been mentioned by several of you, to pray, because we cannot love each other without the power of Christ to do that. We might think we can, but we get our little attitudes in the way, and our preferences, and we just need Christ to take over, and we really do need to pray a lot. And then the other thing is, and we speak sweet words to each other, especially on Sunday morning. We're glad to see each other, and we're speaking sweet words. But as James said, faith without works is dead, and sweet words without calling you up and going out to lunch or helping you do laundry or things like that. If we don't do those kinds of things along with those words, it's nothing. Sort of like the faith, the chapter talks about love. Without love, we are nothing. And the other thing I see in the church, I would say what I see in the world are divisions, and Nicole mentioned divisions. There's divisions between races, there's divisions between ages, there's divisions between socioeconomic levels. There's divisions in so many ways. The teenagers don't want to hang around with the parents anymore. There's so many divisions, and I feel as women in the church, in order to show the world that we are different from them and that we belong to Christ. And it says that the world will know that we belong to Him by the love we have for each other, that we need to be intentional, very intentional about showing that love to each other. And as we pray, the Lord is going to bring ideas to our mind, might bring a person, might bring a ministry, might bring things to our mind that He wants us personally to be involved in. And I think we need to not keep it in our head. We need to put feet to those prayers and those answers. And Blackaby, a writer of a study, said once that if you see God working in some area, join Him. So I say if you see that in a sister, we need to join them in that work. And then if you see a need, we need to join them in their need.
So our next question is, what would it look like if we leaned into our roles as brothers and sisters? How would that shape the way we love? Miss Eunice?
Wow, there would be salt all over the world. Just the thought of that is difficult to conceive. The world actually seeing the love of Christ displayed in His people would be absolutely awesome. If we could learn to take the mask off. God didn't see something in us that caused Him to love us. He saw the wretchedness. And so when we look at others, we have to see them the same way God sees us. And then when we begin to share genuine love to one another, realizing that I'm really no different than you, that what I'm going through now, you might go through in 10 years. And so it is amazing that we actually need each other. The things that you share is encouraging me, and prayerfully, it's encouraging this sister here, and it's encouraging this sister. And I think you're the youngest one, Julie. And so it's encouraging Julie as well. And so being around each other strengthens the body of Christ. And then when the world sees genuine love, which is unity, then the world can do nothing but cry out, okay, who is this God that you're serving? And so the thing I'm trying to say is, let's take our mask off, realizing that God saw us outside of the mask. And so if we can be genuine with one another, loving each other the way we are, that even helps us with the issues we have in our lives. And then the world can see God in us.
Amen. So, Julie, I'm going to pose this last question to you. So, do we feel the weight of the call to love each other sacrificially and not just conveniently, but as Christ loved us?
Do we or should we? So I think if I'm honest, I am very selfish and often only want to serve when it's convenient. If I'm honest about it, I want to answer that question and say, yes, I feel that call and want to drop everything and serve sacrificially. But I think if I put on the lens and really look at my own life, I can say in theory I want to serve people, but then when it comes to the practical implications of dropping everything and being willing to help out a brother or sister, it really is so much easier when it's easy for me. But what I will say is that I have had people in my life who have exemplified that kind of sacrificial serving so well. And it is convicting to me when I see it. I think, I honestly, the example that comes to mind is my sister, my older sister. She's 10 years older than me. We have 2 brothers in between, but she's not married. She's still single, and she is one of the most sacrificial servants who, it does not matter if it's convenient for her. She will do whatever it takes to serve. And I think when we do that for others, it just is like this ripple effect where people see it and then they think, oh, when I see that in other people, it convicts me. And it makes you want to respond in that kind of love and sacrifice and service for your brothers and sisters. And so I'm thankful for those examples that I've had in my life that have encouraged me in that, because if we're all honest, if it's up to us, there is nothing in us that is naturally good and wants to do that. But praise be to God that He gives us the grace and gives us His Spirit that puts that desire in us, because we can't do it on our own. So back to the aspect of prayer, I think it has been answered in almost everyone's response. But I think the only way we can do that really is through praying and committing that desire to the Lord and asking God to give us His Spirit and give us that desire to love others sacrificially and not just conveniently.
Wow. Well, thank y'all for joining me at the table today. And it's my prayer that this would just be a starting point, this conversation, and that it would continue, and that we would see the fruit of these conversations and these desires for there to be prayer and for there to be unity.